would now like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. A.K. Dutta. Dr. A.K. Dutta presently works with India Glycols Limited as Vice President, Research and Development. He holds a doctorate in physical chemistry with specialization in colloidal and interface sciences. As a postdoctoral research, he has worked in several institutes in Japan, USA, and Canada. He has worked with Unilever in their home and personal care category as a senior scientist and senior product development manager, with United Phosphorus Limited as their global head for research and development in agrochemicals. He has published 40 research articles in referred international journals and has 4 patents. His research interest continues to be in the area of molecular organization in soft matters, ultra-thin films and interfaces, in addition to development of high-performance innovative formulations for agrochemicals, home and personal care products. I invite you, sir, to kindly greet.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are able to hear me at the back, right? Okay. Let me start by thanking Renuka and our president for giving me this excellent opportunity to speak before you. I feel proud and privileged talking to you, and thanks, Robert, for your excellent presentation. Today's discussion would be diversity, a key to cosmetic industry. Let me just introduce IGL over just a minute or so. I'm representing India Glycols. It's owned by the Bhartiya Group, US Bhartiya being the chairman. We are a mid-sized company, about 550 million. Our total capacity is about 520,000 metric ton per annum, and we are into the business of specialties. We make spirits, gases, guar gum, and specialty chemicals, and the division for specialty chemicals is about 65%. In the chemical sector, we are the makers of bioglycols, performance chemicals, and ethoxylates. The only difference that India Glycol differentiates itself from the rest of the world is our ethylene oxide is made from sugarcane molasses. It's completely green. We are present in various sectors: textiles, paints, paper and inks, pharmaceuticals, personal care, agro, oilfield chemicals, and home care. And the chemistries, we are almost there, almost in everything: esterification, trans-esterification, sulfation, sulfosuccinates, phosphation, polymerization, emulsion polymers, resins, and sugar-based surfactants. Having said this, let's move to the diversity. We live in a beautiful world, and it's the only planet which is different from the rest. And the only reason that makes it a very nice and beautiful place is the diversity that exists. Robert has explained the different cultures, different people across the globe. And if, in fact, if you look at the animal world, if you look at the fishes, if you look at the plants, all of them are different. And it is this richness in diversity, the difference, that makes the world a beautiful place. In context to personal care, let me first take you through the international scenario in global markets. The total market is about 450 billion, and the sorry. Thanks. The total global market is about 450 billion, and if we break up, North America is about 93 billion, growing at a moderate rate of a CAGR 4%. Europe is about 114 billion, also growing at about 4%. Southeast Asia, in fact, is about 141 billion, growing at 5%, and these CAGRs are averages. Africa is about 30 billion. It's small, but it's growing, and that's where the opportunity lies. Latin America is also small compared to Europe and US, which are matured markets, and here it is 59 billion, growing at 9%. As Sunil said, that the areas of growth is mostly India and China, and we'll see that in a short while. The total personal care, if we look at it, can be broken up into these categories. It's about 26%. The biggest share is skin care. 15.5% is about hair care. Color care is about 13.5, men's grooming is 10, fragrances 10, color care, bath shower, deos and baby care. Interesting is to note that men's grooming, baby care are the areas that are simply growing over here. Now, if we look at the actual sizes in terms of the sales and the CGRs, the maximum, the lion's share comes to skin care. Now, there are other sectors, especially the baby and the child care, which are minuscule right now, but it is growing worldwide and certainly in India. Having said this, let us look at the diversity in age and the GDPs across the world. Now, most interesting thing, if you look at it, is the sectors, which is the green, which is basically the sector corresponding to the teens and the 20s and the mid-30s. And if you look at the entire population, these are the set of people who use cosmetics the most. It is the need to feel good, look good, feel confident to meet the world, and that is where the money lies, and that is where the focus of the entire cosmetic fraternity is looking at. Importantly, Africa has always been a neglected continent, but I think it is a change in the scenario that will make a difference in the near future. These are the growing sectors. Number one, the emerging markets, US, Europe are mature markets. The growth rate is likely to be small. The best of innovations have happened in Europe and US, but very little has actually gone in terms of the emerging markets, which are basically Africa, China, India, and Southeast Asia. Now, if we connect this to the GDPs, you would look at the map below and you will find that places like Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, unheard of places where the GDP is picking up and a lot of disposable incomes are available. It is only when you have a lot of money, then only post using your money to pay your food bills and rentals, you spend it on cosmetics. And therefore, these are the areas, especially the markets in Africa, China, India, and Southeast Asia, which are the growing market. Southeast Asia market is about 8 billion. Having said this, let us look at the market trends. How is the market moving? Now, in the third world countries, especially like India, Bangladesh, Southeast Asia, in contrast to the rich nations like in Europe, US, there has been a marked change. A lot of disposable incomes have become now available. If you look at India, in a household of 4, almost 3 people are working. There is a lot of disposable incomes. With the foreign companies, MNCs coming into India, a lot of jobs have become available, and these are high valued jobs. Therefore, with this disposable incomes comes the next set of thought process. What do I do with the money? I need to look good, I need to feel good, and I need to lead a better life. It is this compulsion that has triggered a growth in the cosmetic market. Second thing, beyond the awareness of self, need to differentiate from others, and the need to feel good and confident are the key areas which are the drivers of growth. If you look at the premium sector, you would be surprised to see what we always believed. A subcontinent like India, which basically is what you might say would be a mass market controlled, is now showing an indication of moving towards the premium. Therefore, the mindset over the years has happened. People are more inclined to spend more. It doesn't really matter, in order to get the best of products, international products for their use. And it is this reason that is the mass markets are slowly shifting towards the premium markets, and hence the demand for high quality products. Having said that, let's look at religious practices across the world. Just as Robert said, that cosmetics is different. It is something you put on your body. It's like food, what you eat, and it is closely correlated with your culture. it is closely correlated to your beliefs. It is closely related again to your habits. And this is something which makes the cosmetic industry unique. What will work for Sweden need not work in Africa, and what works for Africa need not work in India. Now, if you look at the religious practices across the world, the blue part, I would guess the purple one corresponds to Christianity, green, the Islamic, and the red, the Hinduism. Now, there are a lot of issues in terms of beliefs, lot of things. What would pass for the Christians would not pass for the Islamic, would not pass for the Hinduism. There's nothing wrong with it. It is the way what we believe in, and that is the diversity, and that is the respect we have in terms of believing in others, believing their concepts, their thought processes. For example, in the MENA region, that is the green you see on top of Africa, that is the Middle East, North Africa region, which we call the MENA. This is predominantly Islamic. According to food habits, use of certain food is permitted and use of certain things are not permitted. Therefore, and in contrast, look at India, which is basically a Hindu country. Now, there are ingredients. For example, let's take the simplest one, alcohol. Alcohol in a formulation is used in several recipes across the world, but it is something which is inadmissible in the Islamic world. Therefore, a product that you make in India may not work for the MENA region or for somewhere else. Therefore, what is important is now the regulations in terms of certifications like halal, which is mandatory for the Muslim world, kosher for the Jews, and then there are other certifications like gluten-free, cruel to animals, and so on. Therefore, what it means is, it is the diversity that needs to be looked into while you formulate. Every formulation will not work at every place because it is something that you use on a personal level, and that has implications in terms of what you feel comfortable with. It is your belief, it is your culture, it's your tradition. Having said this, let's look at the skin color distribution. This is what that Almighty has made. Now, if you look at it, it is another diversity in terms of the skin tones. People have different skin tones across the world, and if we look at it right from the lightest to the darkest, this is basically the skin color distribution that we have. Now, look in terms of the makeup. What will probably work for Sweden will not work for Africa, and what works for Africa need not work for Australia. Now, the basic differences lies in the skin content, the melanin skin content. And if you look at the figures for the dark skin and the light skin, all you see is the quantity of melanin in your skin is different, and that is what makes the skin color or texture grossly different. Let's look at the difference between skin for white and dark colored skin. First thing, the difference is the white skin is about 7.2 microns, black skin is thinner. Number of layers making the epidermis for white is only 17 compared to 22. Other differences are white skins are more liable to photo damage, contrast to that in black. And of course, the melanin penetration, which I said in dark skin, is higher compared to that in black skin. Having said that, look at the quality of hair, a comparison between white skin, Asian, and black hair. Appearances are grossly different. For whites, it's wavy, Asian, it's straight, and black, it's frizzy and spiral-like. Shape, if you take a cross-section of hair belonging to any of these ethnic groups, it's completely different, as you can see from the scanning electron micrograph given below. Similarly, also the tones for hair is different, as you can see in the chart below. Having said this, let's look at the diversity in regulatory laws. You cannot simply make a concoction of products and believe that this is the best thing that will be usable everywhere. Now, if you look at it, let's look at some simple ingredients. For example, talc. It's basically a filler which almost every Indian uses. Now, there are issues with it. It supposed to cause diseases of the lungs, It is prohibited in Europe, but used in US and Japan. Look at coal tar, which is an essential ingredient for anti-dandruff. It is because of the higher content of aromatics. It is connected. It is connected to cancer of the skin, breast cancer. Is prohibited by EU, permitted in US, also prohibited in Japan. Similar things are across the category. One of the most common ingredient is hexylresorcinol. It's an anti-aging ingredient. It's an active ingredient in your cough, what you might say, cough, those strepsils. But it is a cancer suspect, prohibited in EU, but allowed in US. What I want to say in this is, EU has banned almost about 1400 ingredients. What it simply means is that the need and the caution to use ingredients across the world varies. It is different perceptions that is carried from continent to continent. Now, let's look at this. This is something very interesting, and I thought maybe would be something to keep at the back of one's mind while designing products. Cochineal dye, this is a red dye often used in lipsticks. These are extracts from beetles. These are materials that used to be used as back by the Egyptians. It's a blood red color, very bright, does not have any other implications, but it is still used in certain products in China, but I guess no European or American would like to use this because it is related to insects. Tallow, it used to be a common ingredient, still used in lipsticks in certain part of the world, but may not do well in other parts of the world as well. Lanolin, collagen, estrogen, and retinol, these are all animal-based products. People who believe in kindness to animals would definitely refrain from this, but there are again societies that do not look into these. For example, in China, most of these products are used and are available in the open market as of today. Having said this, let's look at the personal care business specific to India. Here, the distribution is a bit different. Here, hair happens to have the largest market share, about 34%. Face care, basically the face washes, are a craze in the market today. It is increasing, and the total share is about 13%. Skin is relatively small, I guess, because it has probably reached a saturation in terms of the body washes, the soaps that are available. But there are other emerging areas like cellulite treatments, face for grooming for men, especially face and beard, especially the men's fascination to look fairer now, while there has been no effort over the last 10 years where men basically never ever used skin lightening creams. But there is a definite change in the mindset, change in the fashion, and these are the areas that are growing in India. In India, personal care is no more about skin and hair, but it is a mixed bucket. Beauty has become a combination of beauty and wellness. It has about 48% goes there. It's partly slimming and fitness, and most importantly, the emerging area is rejuvenation. These emerge from the fact that you look beautiful not just by putting in a couple of makeup across your face, but you need to be healthy, you need to be beautiful overall. And that goes partly as slimming, fitness, beauty, wellness, and rejuvenation. And you can see that repercussion in the market with the number of gyms that have started across the country. Having said this, the other part is cosmetics is not only cosmetics today, it's a mixture of cosmetics, nutrition, and pharmaceuticals that has given rise to emerging areas like nutri-cosmetics, nutraceuticals, and cosmeceuticals. And that all emerges from the single thought that you have to be healthy, you have to look good, you have to be overall a attractive person. So it is not only about putting what you might say cosmetics on your face or your body, but it has to be a overall health concern. Having said this, the story for India would not be complete if I do not take you through the recent developments, recent areas that has grown very fast with CAGRs of about 23.6%, 21, 22% is in deodorants, color cosmetics, baby and child care, look at it, it is about 16.5, sun care 15.1, men's grooming 15.1. In a warm country like India, looking for sun care was something unheard of even 5 years ago, but today it has emerged as a winner in the market. Now let's look at the players in the Indian market. It is dominated by Unilever as always, followed by Colgate-Palmolive, Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, Godrej, Dabur, Johnson and others. Now look at the section for others. It is 48.5% of the total market. This gives an opportunity for startups, for new companies coming with new innovations, with new products, new product lines. This is the opportunity. And the biggest thing is this, the reason why they exist is the price points and the constant range of products they come up with to excite the market. Today, with changing lifestyle, with availability of international products at your doorstep, thanks to Flipkart and Snapdeal and Amazon, you are at a constant war with everything that you have. Today, you have a measure. You can measure the product that you are going to buy in a retail shop against the best in the market, best in the world. And if you are ready to pay for it, I don't see why you should not compare. Having said this, let me take you through the next wave of change that is presently prevailing in India, a distinct move from synthetics to herbals and naturals. The natural driver over here are two things. The synthetics that we use, are they safe? That's the first biggest concern that people have in their mind. The cosmetics that I am putting on the body, will it have a long-term effect? Will it affect my children? And that is not unwarranted. There are number of products which in the long term has proven to cause cancer. Okay, it has, there are debates on this. Animal testing has shown indications but need not be manifested in human beings. But if I am spending money, why take a risk? And it is this fundamental question that has made the Indian market sway from the synthetics to the naturals. Even companies like Colgate, which was always synthetic, and basically over centuries they have never moved into anything close to naturals or herbals, have made that move to capture the market. Now today you have herbal variations, you have variations of Colgate toothpaste with neem, aloe vera and with cinnamon and whatnot. Similar things are in Garnier products using lemon and aloe vera for your body washes, and there is an entire range of fruit-based products. The USP for these are the antioxidants and the minuscule ingredients that you have, which have no side effects. In fact, the biggest concern today on synthetic products is, will it give me a disease in the long term? And that is not an unwarranted question. Having said this, let's look one more snapshot of the Indian movements. Hindustan Unilever, in terms of the revenue, still happens to be the top. Interesting aspect is Patanjali Ayurved. It has acquired the second position today, beating ITC. Now, if you look in the next curve, it is about 2014 and 2015 sales. Patanjali was 2,000 crore. 2017, and this is the data taken from Nielsen, and that has become 10,561, a 5 times increment over what used to be in a span of 2 years. Something unachievable, something unbelievable. And this is the trend that has taken over the Indian cosmetic market. That is a clear switch from synthetics to naturals and Ayurveda. The trust in Ayurveda stems from the fact that Ayurveda is a tested area in India, Burma, Southeast Asia for not a year, not for 10 years, but for centuries. And it is this background that has made things take the increase, sudden rise in the market. Now, if you look at it, a large number of products with naturals are available today. They are like Lemon Balm Forces is one brand that you have, a concoction of tulsi and I guess it is aloe vera again, then cinnamon, then teas have come into the market. This is part of nutraceuticals too. Tea with lemon and ginger, tea with peaches, and so on and so forth, which are added values to the products that are available in the market. Coming to innovations, global innovations, there's a lot of them. Dry shampoos, all you need to do is pick up that bottle, spray it on your head, comb, and go to office. No reason to stand under a shower on a cold day. Probably one of the best innovations to happen. Then there is Jergens Wet Skin Moisturizer. Take a bath, just put a few drops, pat it dry, walk out. It's also again for convenience. Point is, convenience today is another factor beyond ethnic preference that needs to be looked into in the design of cosmetics. You still do not have hours to spend before your dressing table trying to groom yourself. No one has that time. People need to rush out, and these are ingredients that are making a difference, and this is in fact one of the drivers of diversity in the cosmetic world. Look at the paint can. Paint can, to put the nail polish, you need at least 15 to 20 minutes to wait before that lacquer dries. Today, I don't think for busy people, they even have that time. This is a unique thing. You take out your fingers, you just spray, you rub it with a tissue, and your fingers, your nail polish sticks. It's uniform, clean, and this is a very nice innovation in my view. Look at other things. If you have put on a makeup and you need to clean up, it's a struggle even today. It takes at least half an hour to 45 minutes to scrub your face hard to take it off. Now there is a unique product, a towelette, which basically is available in US market, costs about $6. You just strip that open, rub your face with it, and it's gone seconds. This is a very good innovation that saves time, saves effort, and these are one of the triggers that today control the cosmetic world. Fruit face washes, it has basically a deluge in the Indian market. You just need to walk into a retail store and you find hundreds of them. Hair color uses ammonia, causes a lot of irritation to the scalp, causes loss of hair, and it is something that most people dislike. L'Oreal has also moved from synthetics to the use of natural products as a mixture of henna and indigo that is being launched. Having said this, I would like to end here in terms of the diversity, that is with the final remark that when you design a product for any place, you need to think in terms of the global impact, and of course, you need to look at the local requirement. What works elsewhere may not work where you want to launch your product. With that, I would like to thank everyone. Thanks for your time.